All right, today on The Explainer, we're diving into a fascinating question. Why does one of the greatest directors alive call a 2010 action movie you might have skipped a total masterpiece? We're going to find out why it's so much more than just a thriller. It's the perfect final word from an absolute legend.
Okay, let's just let that sink in for a second. When Quentin Tarantino, a guy who basically breathes celluloid, says something like that, you listen. And this wasn't just some casual comment. He literally spent 6 weeks rewatching movies from that decade to make his best of list. And this film, he said it just completely blew him away.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit of a head scratcher at first, isn't it? I mean, we're not talking about some dense, artsy drama or a huge historical epic. It's a movie about a runaway train. So what on earth did a filmmaker like Tarantino see in Unstoppable that maybe the rest of us missed?
Well, the answer really comes down to something deeper than just explosions and speeding trains. It's a story about a powerful friendship, a director's last big statement, and just the pure art of making a movie. To really get it, you have to understand the bond between Tarantino and the film's director, the legendary Tony Scott. That's the real key here.
So their history goes way back. Think about it. 1993, a young, unknown Quentin Tarantino writes this killer script, and Tony Scott is the guy who brings it to life as True Romance, which is now an absolute cult classic. That created this incredible bond between them. So fast forward to 2020, and Tarantino isn't just praising a movie. He's paying tribute to the final brilliant film of a man he deeply respected. And knowing that just changes everything, doesn't it? It makes his praise so much more meaningful. He's seeing Unstoppable as the perfect swan song for Tony Scott, a director just firing on all cylinders at the absolute top of his game. So, okay, what exactly is this final masterpiece about? Believe it or not, this movie is based on a totally insane true story. It's a disaster thriller about the CSX 8888 incident. Yeah, back in 2001, a real freight train, completely unmanned, just took off. It traveled for 66 miles across Ohio. The movie takes that incredible real-life event and just cranks the tension up to 1,000, giving it this terrifying this could actually happen feeling.
And the plot is just beautifully simple. Seriously, it breaks down like this. One simple mistake sends this massive freight train, the 777, barreling across Pennsylvania with nobody at the controls. The stakes? It's loaded with toxic chemicals and it's headed for a big city. And our heroes, a veteran engineer, Denzel Washington, and a rookie conductor, Chris Pine, who have to chase this thing down. That's it. No crazy plot twists, no secret bad guys. And that simplicity, that's the genius of it. It lets the pure skill of the filmmaking shine.
Right. So this whole thing isn't really about the plot. It's all about the execution. The story is just the canvas. The real art is in how Tony Scott paints the picture. So how did he take such a simple idea and turn it into something so masterful?
He did it by leaning into everything that made him Tony Scott. I mean, the guy was a master of kinetic energy. The camera's always moving, almost like it's on the train with them. The editing is just relentless, cutting so fast you can barely breathe. And crucially, he prioritized real, practical effects over CGI, so you feel the weight and the danger. He also loved telling stories about regular, blue-collar heroes. This movie is basically the ultimate Tony Scott film. It's all of his signature moves perfected. And look, it wasn't just Tarantino who saw this. Critics got it right away. An 87% certified fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes, that's huge for an action movie. Heck, a lot of serious dramas would be thrilled with that score. The great Roger Ebert himself summed it up perfectly. Sheer craftsmanship. Just like Tarantino, he looked right past the action movie label and saw what was really going on. Just incredible, undeniable skill behind the camera. Now, commercially, the film did just fine. It made back its budget and then some, pulling in about $168 million worldwide. But, it wasn't a massive blockbuster. It never became this pop culture event. And that's kind of what makes it such a perfect, underrated gem. Its reputation has just grown and grown over the years, especially when you have people like Tarantino shouting from the rooftops about how great it is. And get this, it even snagged an Academy Award nomination for Best Sound Editing. Now, that might sound like a small technical thing, but it's actually so important. It points directly to that incredible level of detail and craft we've been talking about. The whole movie is just this immersive, almost terrifying experience for your ears. And this is really where you can see things from Tarantino's perspective. Think about a typical action movie today. It's often all about CGI spectacle and invincible superheroes. But Unstoppable? It's about tangible practical effects. The heroes are just regular guys, relatable working-class people, and instead of some super complex plot, you get a simple premise executed perfectly. It's character revealed through action, not words. For a purist like Tarantino, that's what it's all about. So, if you had to boil it down, what exactly was it that blew him away? First, the pacing. It's a super tight 98 minutes. There is not a single wasted second. Second, the authentic danger. They used real trains, not a bunch of CGI, which makes the stakes feel incredibly real. Then you've got the grounded characters, just normal people pushed to their absolute limits. And finally, it's just masterful tension. Scott uses every tool, editing, sound, camera work, to create this unbearable sense of momentum.
Because at the end of the day, Unstoppable is just so much more than an action movie. It's really a masterclass in visual storytelling. It proves you don't need capes or aliens or a complicated backstory to make great art. Sometimes all you need is a simple story told with absolute, pure filmmaking skill.
And what a legacy to leave behind. This film cemented Tony Scott's status as a master. His influence is so huge that when Top Gun Maverick came out, the sequel to his most iconic movie, the whole film was dedicated to his memory. That's how much he meant to the industry. So why does Quentin Tarantino love Unstoppable so much? Because it's a master watching another master at the absolute height of his powers, just doing what he does best, better than anyone else. It's a movie that celebrates filmmaking itself, making it feel just as exciting and relentless as that runaway train.
And what this really shows us is that sometimes the best movies aren't the ones making all the noise at the box office. They're the ones that are just perfectly made. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What other masterpieces are just hiding out there, waiting for us to find them?